Hello my friends, we are going to do a quick tutorial on how to build a versatile home budget using Google Sheets. I have another set of videos for how to build basically the same budget in Microsoft Excel. So if you're not interested in using Google Sheets and you do like Microsoft Excel, then you can go back to my YouTube playlists and find the tutorial on how to do this in Microsoft Excel. But this is for Google Sheets. So first off, I have to say that if you are not familiar with Google Sheets, if you've never used it before, or you're not familiar with Microsoft Excel, then this probably isn't the right place to start. You should probably go watch 5 or 10 minutes of tutorials on YouTube somewhere just to familiarize yourself with Google Sheets. What you're looking at right now is the finished product. This is what we're going to be making. This is a fully functional, versatile home budget system that my wife and I have been using for the last 5 years, and I have tweaked it and adapted it to my life repeatedly, and it's really easy to do when you know what you're doing. And that's the purpose of this video, is to show you how to do it, okay? Just to kind of show you how this is meant to function. There are a lot of numbers here, there are a lot of boxes, and I don't want this to overwhelm you. There is going to be a little bit of setup involved, but once you do get it set up, then it's going to be really friendly. Okay, you are going to need to put in, depending on how skilled you are and how comfortable you are with computers and Google Sheets, you're going to need to put in anywhere between half an hour to maybe 3 or 4 hours of work to get this budget set up. But once it is set up, again, the hard part's over and you can use it year after year after year after year, which is what my wife and I have been doing, and it works really great for us. So, for example, down here, our hypothetical couple, Gideon and Hazel. Hazel spent $78 on a new tennis racket because that's what she likes to do. And what's the category of her spending? Well, she went under tennis and golf. That's something that both Gideon and Hazel like to do. They have a category up here for tennis and golf. Let me show you the power of this budget the way I have it set up. Look up here at tennis and golf, $78.90. That number right there is coming from here. That's the only reason that number is in that box, is because I put that number here. Watch what happens if I change this to, let's say, date night. That number goes away, and now it appears here in date night. Almost all of these numbers up here in this box, you will not have to enter manually. The majority of these boxes or these numbers will populate themselves based on information that you put in key locations throughout this budget. And that's, again, the power of this and the versatility of this. This is really easy to use, really easy to use once you have it set up. And why I think this is better than some of those really simple and free and pretty useful apps that are out there, or browser programs or anything like that, why I think this is better is because it's versatile and it gives you a lot more freedom to do what you want to do. And to answer another frequently asked question, why don't I just upload this as a template and give it to people to download and use as they want to? Because I want to train you how to build this so that as you live your life and build your family and have your own specific individual needs from year to year to year, that you have the knowledge and ability to adapt this to your needs. So while you're looking at my finished product, yours may look completely different, and that's a good thing. I want to empower you through this series of videos to make it so you can build whatever you want to build. Okay, I'm sorry, that was a long introduction. Let's get started. So how do you create this? You're going to need to log into your Google Drive. Now, you do need a Gmail account to do this. If you don't have a Gmail account, what century are you living in? That was a joke. If you don't have a Gmail account, create one, okay, a Google account. Just go to google.com and click sign in, and it's going to ask if you have an account. You'll click create account. Okay. Once you have an account, then you're just going to come up to drive.google.com. And if it's your first time coming here, you may have to click through a few little introductory setup type things. Once you get here, then you're going to come up here to new Google Sheets. It will then open up a document called untitled document, and you're going to want to rename it. So that's where you title your document. And then down here, ignore this tab down here. This is the demo that we were just looking at. You're not going to see that, right? You're just going to have a sheet number 1. Down here, just name this January. Okay, so we're going to start in the beginning of the year. You may not be watching this video in January. That's okay. Now to start, let's just create our title bar. And how long do you need to make this title bar is kind of a guess right now. So let's just, for the sake of making things easy, just highlight A through Q up there on row number 1. Some terminology, again, if you're not super familiar, these are called columns. Up and down is a column, left to right is a row. So highlight all of row 1, A through Q. And we're going to merge that. That's this button right here called Merge Cells. And January 2018. Now you'll notice it jumped it way over here to the right. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this first video discussing formatting, like making it look pretty, kind of like this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about that. I want to help you create a functional budget, and afterwards I'll teach you how to make it pretty. But I don't want it all the way over there. There's an align button right here. That's right align, left align, center. And now it's centered. The next thing we need to do is create, basically what we're doing is we're creating a table here, and we've got our x-axis and our y-axis. So I'm just going to fill this in because we're not going to need it. And then this row, row 2, is where you're going to create all of the categories that you're going to be spending money. To kind of make an analogy here, a lot of people are familiar with what's called the envelope method of budgeting. That's where you have like a dozen envelopes and you put your cash into those envelopes dependent upon where you're going to be spending your money. So you have a mortgage envelope, or that might be rent, right? Whichever one it is. Then you've got a grocery envelope, the money you're going to be spending on groceries. You've got a gas envelope. Hello. You've got a tithing envelope. You've got other donations. Oh, I forgot the most important one. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm very particular. I'm just going to move that over and go PYF. That's your pay yourself first envelope. We'll talk a little bit more about pay yourself first later on. You need to create your own envelopes, your own categories that you're going to be spending money in. I can't tell you what those are going to be. For Gideon and Hazel though, we are going to do the following. So I put all the categories in, and you can actually see that it's not all fitting on the screen. It's kind of bleeding over. And so to help make everything more succinct on the screen, you can actually highlight all the columns by clicking along the A through S. And if you put your mouse in a place where you get the little double-headed arrow and drag in just a little bit, then it will shrink all of those columns together. We're going to have to adjust those a little bit more as we go along. I'm just going to do that so we can kind of see where everything is. If you want to center these, again, just highlight all those boxes, come up here and center a line. If you want to box these off so that they look a little bit more separated from each other, highlight them all. You can come up to borders, choose the thickness of the bar, click on that, and then they're all separated. That's totally up to you. I'm not going to point that out to you a lot more. Now that I've shown you how to do that, you get to play around with that as much as you want to. So now we have our x-axis. Let's go ahead and create our y-axis. What I want to do is put last month, allotment, running total, and balance. Each one of these rows is going to have a different purpose. So along this column, or excuse me, this row, what I'd like you to do is change its color. This is going to help you remember how to use this row later. You can fill it with whatever color you want. We're going to do like a light orange. Allotment we'll come back to, running total, balance. Oh, and by the way, a cell is any one of these boxes. Okay, this is cell C12. This is cell B7, okay? So all of these cells in here are monetary cells, meaning that the data that we're going to be putting into those cells is money. And I'm going to format those. If I were to just come in here and write 67, meaning that I wanted that to be $67, it's not giving me $67, it's just giving me the number. I can change that by coming up here and format as currency. Once I click on that, it formats it automatically as $67. So to do those all at once, just highlight all those cells, format as currency. You're not going to notice any difference until you type a number in there, and then it's going to automatically be currency formatted. So once you've formatted all these cells with currency, let's go ahead and just kind of box this off. I want you to highlight everything in there, come back up here to borders, and put a full border around it so that it's just kind of separated. We're also going to do the same thing with each row. So I'm going to highlight the allotment row, And actually I'm going to press Control or Command if you're on Mac. Control Y. And that's actually going to repeat the command that I just gave it. I like using shortcut keys. I know a lot of them and they help speed things up. Control or Command Y tells the computer to do what you just barely told it to do. All right, so now we've got that a little bit formatted. Let's just leave that alone for a minute. Let's continue setting up the skeleton here. Okay, the next thing I want you to do is start here in cell A8, drag it over to cell 8K. I'm just going to scroll down all the way to row 200. Okay, so I'm on column K all the way down to row 200. I've let go with my mouse, now I can scroll back up and I can see that this is all highlighted. And I'm just going to box this whole section off, just like I did the last one, using an exterior box, and I'm going to box that off. Oh, one little thing that I want to do really quick is I'm going to right click up here on column A and insert one left. What I'm telling it to do is insert one column to the left. I like to have a little bit of space in between the left side of my screen and where things are actually starting to happen. So you do not have to do that. The only reason I'm pointing it out to you is so you don't wonder, wait, why is there this weird column here? It's a personal preference, you do not have to do that. So now that I have this section blocked off, we're going to do kind of like what we did up here with the title. We're going to take this entire top row and merge it together, and we're going to title this Comprehensive Expense Tracker. And I'm going to center it. Now what I want you to do is we're going to put in a bunch of data here. And again, I'm going to explain the functionality of this more as we go on. Right now, I'm just getting you set up with the skeleton. Credit and 0. So I have credit, debit, check, cash, total, and then 0000. I want to format all of these zeros as monetary. You can do those one at a time, or if you click on it and hold Control or Command, you actually select each cell individually. You have to hold down Control while you do that. Once I have those all selected, I'm going to come up here and click Format as Currency, and I format them all at once. I've also centered them, and now so that they don't look so confusing, I'm going to box them out. Now that I have these boxed, we're going to leave them alone and come down here to row number 10, and we're going to put a new row, a new set of information. Okay, so here's what I've done. I've put a column for spender, amount, date, category, pay method, explanation of expense, and I've merged G through J, and then notes. Okay, so I have this row of titles. Again, I will explain why we're doing this. Right now, I'm just building the skeleton. This amount column, everything that's going to be entered into this entire column is going to be monetary. So I want you to highlight the entire column. You're going to select up there and scroll all the way down to row 200 and just click Format as Currency. For date, you're going to do the exact same thing, except that once you have the entire column highlighted, you're going to come up to Formats and Format as Date. Now, if you don't like this method of date formatting, you can come down to More Formats, More Date, and select any variety of date formatting that you like. I preferably like the shorthand. So I'm going to select that and click Apply, so that when I come in here and write 2718, it remains formatted in that method. Category and payment method we're going to leave alone for right now. Explanation of expense. Highlight those 4 cells and merge them. Highlight the next 4 cells underneath on the next row and merge them. And then what I want you to do is click on that cell and grab it by the right corner here where you get that little thin plus symbol and drag it all the way down to row 200. Once you get to row 200, let go, and you'll notice that now all of these cells are merged so that they all look the same. Okay, now that we have that skeleton built, we're going to come over here to M8, and you're going to create another skeleton from M to Q down to row 19. Let's go ahead and box that off. Once again, up here, let's merge this to create a title. This is going to be our comprehensive income tracker. This one over here is our comprehensive expense tracker. This is our income. Again, we're going to create a list of titles. We have beneficiary, source, amount, received, and tithing. Amount, again, format this entire column inside this box as currency. Received, reformat this as date, just like we did over here with date, because in this column we're going to be including when we received that income. So come back up here and format as date. Okay, now down here at the very bottom in cell M19, put last month, and in that cell you're going to format it as currency. And then in this cell, which is P19, you're going to put total and format Q19 as also currency. So I've got these boxed off and aligned the way I want them. Again, that's going to be up to you. I don't want to focus on that right now. Right above last month, write individual, and then you would put the name of you or the name of your spouse, either one. The next cell is monetary, format as currency, and then in this one, put your spouse's name, if you have one, and format as currency, and block it off. So that completes this table. We're going to create another table from M to Q down to row 30. Box it off, create a title by merging the top cell, and we're going to have this be monthly bills. Really, the size of this box is going to be dependent upon your current situation. For Gideon and Hazel, I'm going to create a list of monthly bills that they need to pay. You are going to have to create your own list representative of your current life. The way I've organized these is that there will be some of these bills that Gideon and Hazel have to pay manually, and there will be some of these bills that are set up for auto pay. And the way I would recommend you organize it is you clump them together. So for Gideon and Hazel, these first 6 bills are ones that they pay manually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge these two columns, N and O. Just drag that down. And we're going to write manual in all the ones that they have to pay manually and auto pay in the others. So now they're labeled manual and auto pay. I put a singular bar to separate the two. The singular bar is this option here in the borders. I'm also going to merge columns P and Q inside this table. The purpose of this column is to allow Gideon and Hazel to check off when they've completed paying the bill. Not only are we creating a budget, we are creating a tool that is allowing you to manage all of your finances as much as you would like them to manage your finances. I have found that I like to have this budget keep a record of some of my tax information, all of my expenses, all of my income, a large percentage of my assets, and so forth. Again, that's why I'm kind of trying to show you how to create and use this program so that you can build the budget that's best for you and your family. Scroll down a little bit and we are going to create another table from, again, M to P down to row 38. We're not going to merge this top row. Instead, we're going to write assets. That's going to be our title. And then we're going to create our x-axis of the table with month start, month end, and balance. And I am going to merge these two, P and Q. I want these boxes completely separated from each other. If you highlight those 4 boxes and come up here and click the 4 square symbol, then it will auto box each of them separately. We are going to merge these bottom 3 in the left corner, like so, and then we're going to box these out into columns. Okay, now that I've created the boxes within this table, I want you to grab all of those cells under month start, month end, and balance, as well as this one cell. And you can do that again after having selected this by holding down the Control or Command button while clicking that cell. And now I have all those and that one cell highlighted. And I'm going to format as currency. In this bottom left cell, you're going to type approximate total monetary assets. Okay, we only have 2 more tables to create. For this one, you're going to go again M through Q and just down 4, merge the top cells into a title cell. Again, I boxed it off, and using the alignment tool up here, I decided to center it. On the next row, we are going to again create an x-axis table. Most cells will automatically left align, like this is. It's aligned to the left side of the cell. I would recommend you make them all centered. Just highlight them all and click center. Everything else that goes into these cells will automatically be centered. I do that because I think it makes it look nice. Do merge P and Q here, as well as the 2 rows underneath it. Amount, again, that's going to be monetary, just format as currency. When, again, is the date, format as date. Box these off should you desire to, and now we are done with that one. We have one more. This will be another 5x4 table. Box it off, merge the top into a title. We're going to title this one Credit Card Payments. Not something you need to do if you don't use credit cards and you have no credit card debt. So I've got date in one column. I merged these 2 rows or columns N and O to amount. I merged these 2 columns with P and Q to do transaction number, and I blocked it off. Again, in case you don't remember, alignment, making it centered left or right aligned, is up here at the top. Boxing is up here in the little 4 square. What part of the cell is going to be bordered, how thick the bar is, what color the bar is, that's totally up to you. And you can probably guess at this point, date, you got to highlight those and format them as date. Amount, you got to highlight those and format them as currency. Okay, so at this point we have created the skeleton. If you want to go back to the demo, you can see where all this stuff is coming from. We have now created the skeleton. The easy part is over. The next stuff that we're going to delve into is going to be formatting and making it so that this chart works for us, making it so that this document is powerful to helping us keep track of our expenses, our income, our assets, our bills, our purchases, etc., so that we can have a full, complete, dedicated record of all of our spending and our income. Hope to see you in episode 2. Another pro tip that I want to offer you is, Another pro tip I want to offer you is oh no, I already did that, never mind, ignore me.